Hello, it's Brent Porcio, TopVelocity.net. I'm going to do a pitching analysis here of Jake, and I'm going to pair him up with a Japanese pitcher, Takiwa, Aseo Takiwa. I've tried many times before. I'm just going to call him the Japanese pitcher. I like this guy's style. I mean, he's a little guy, kind of like Lincecum. So, I like to watch the little guys just because they have to really work hard to ultimately get everything they can into the ball. So they usually do a really good job at building power through their stride, building torque at front foot strike, and then efficiently converting that into the ball. So they're great examples. So I'm going to use that with Jake here. All right, so let's take Jake into his leg lift. Today, excuse me, today I'm going to avoid the leg lift. I talk about the leg lift, about a positioning of closing off, and basically getting your weight out over your front leg. And it's not that I'm getting away from it. I think I've just been harping on it too much. If you watch my past 40 videos, it's been the same thing: lift your leg, closing off. And just working with some of my own pitchers lately. One thing you battle with is a pitcher you battle with his confidence, so it's his comfort zone. And if you try to fit a pitcher in a position that he doesn't want to be in, he's not motivated to move and to explode and let go at it. So he's got to be comfortable, right? I ultimately believe in the positioning of the lift leg, closing off. Like I said, weight inside the front foot. You don't want to be too balanced up over your drive leg. You want to be in a good position to start, but very closed off so we don't open up early. But the point is I've seen pitchers start, say, with a straight front leg, balanced up, and I'll record their velocity, and they'll be, wherever they are, and then I'll put my emphasis on the closing off and the weight leading a little forward and leading with the front hip, and then they'll throw one and it'll be slower. And I know why it's slower. I can see they don't put the intensity into it. But then this just stresses my point. You really need to be comfortable, and a pitcher really is going to have more. He's going to be a little bit more stubborn in the beginning of his delivery because to him it really represents how he pitches. So I guess if coaches are listening to this and other pitchers that are watching this, if you don't want to change your start, your leg lift, that's fine. Now, on top of that, if you're going to do that, if you're not going to take my advice on closing off, getting your weight forward, make sure that you focus on the most important things. The one thing you can't get away from. You can get away from these mechanics here in the lift leg, but you can't get away from the main goal of the stride, which is speed or power. If you don't generate as much speed in your body and power into your front foot strike, I don't care what you did, your style, your comfort zone, or what you think is the best leg lift, it's not going to be effective, period. So whatever you do in your leg lift, just don't forget the goal. The goal is speed, is that power through that stride. You have to accelerate and build as much speed and power through your stride. And ultimately, I believe if you open up, and what I feel is, I know it's true, if you open up too early, it really is going to kill your ability to do that. So it's the reason I set those the way I set in the lift position. But if it just breaks you out of your comfort zone and you don't like it, just make sure you don't forget about speed and power through your stride. It's really, really critical. It's everything. So that being said, I don't know how much that really pertains to Jake here, because I think he's done a good job. He's closed off. His weight is inside his drive leg. His head is inside his drive leg. He's in a great position for me. But if you didn't like this position, you want to be somewhere else, that's fine. But let's see how much speed he builds through his stride, how much power he builds through his stride, and let's see if it works for him, if it's effective in him really maxing out his hip to shoulder separation and ultimately having good velocity. So let's take him into the load. Okay, that's about his load position. Let's take the Japanese pitcher into his load. Okay, so you can see really good fast start here with the Japanese pitcher. He's staying closed. That force vector is getting in line. I mean, look how far off the rubber he is, and he hasn't even started to drive. So we can see here with Jack that as he comes down, he's moving forward. I'm kind of impressed, but the one thing I don't like is the opening here. Look how quickly you're opening your foot. I mean, your foot's pretty much opened right here. It's opened. And then your knee follows it. And at this point, you're open. And look what your knee starts to do. This is why opening's bad, because your knee starts to turn. I can start to see the back of your calf. So your knee's turning because your front hip is opening. And look where your ankle is. See, this is the point of this. Your ankle is being torqued and turned. These are hinge joints. They're not supposed to turn. So right now the knee's turning with the leg, but the ankle's taking all the abuse. So how are you going to finish with that strong ankle kick into your triple extension if you look like your ankle's being ripped from the bone? So that's just the point of staying closed. You're not going to, I can just tell Jake right here is not going to finish strong off his ankle because the way he's contorting it here, because his hips are already open. So you're opening way too early, Jake. You need to stay closed. Look at the Japanese pitcher here. Look at his foot. Okay, now his foot's pointing back to shortstop. As his hips are moving forward, now it's pointing to third base. Look, it's still closed. Even as he's reached out, it's still closed. Look at yours. You're reaching out with it straight open. And your knee, and you can tell because look at his knee. His knee is straight to the camera here. You can't see anything behind his shin. I can see your whole calf right here. And look how your ankle is being twisted and contorted. If we had a close view here, you can see it, and you're just ultimately not going to drive. And as you can see, you don't. You fall. You fall. So this is not a drive at the ankle. It's just as you're reaching out, it's falling forward. And then once that, you can see once that ankle releases, or once it gets back to that hinge movement, then it pushes right there. So ultimately, as you move forward, no extension. See, there's no extension in the knee. It's just a fall. And at the last second, once that hinge joint, that ankle doesn't, the torque is taken off of it, then it kicks into your front foot. So just not a good way to build speed and power. Because let's watch it in regular speed. Not that it helps. So I'll just hold down the arrow. So we can see a little speed picked up, but not as explosive as, this is videos in slow motion, but not as explosive as the Japanese pitcher. You can just see, look as he goes into triple extension. See the body just lunge forward. Watch the uniform. See when he goes into triple extension, see the uniform just starts to be pulled and flapped back. See how it's being all pulled back? You see that crease, that pull here? Now watch Jake. You don't see any of that explosive movement here. Okay? And it's ultimately, if you would stay closed, just like the Japanese pitcher, look, his foot is closed, it's closed, it's closed, it's closed, the knee is pointing to third base. He's moving into triple extension, and now it opens up at the last second. Look at this. See the toes to third base? The last second, watch that foot. It completely turns at the last second. So that allows him to drive the whole way, and at the last second it opens, so then it allows the hips to open, the back hip as it extends through to open, and then at front foot we create this amazing hip rotation, and he still has shoulders close. Look, he's fully extended with that front foot stable, hips open. That's because he stayed closed and he accelerated. And we know he accelerated because look at this. Look, as he fell, started to pick up speed, and then boom, right there, he just took off. And just watch the back foot. You can see he's taken off. Watch the back foot. Boom! See how it just flies out of the rubber? Watch Jake's back foot. Nothing. He lands, just a little push at the end, but nothing. So this is more like a controlled fall, which has some speed, but not as effective as this kind of launch, which really is the 3X approach. Boom! Because look how much better this is at generating hip to shoulder separation. So look at this: launch, land, stabilize, open, hips open. And the shoulders were just coming up at that time, so it allowed them to create separation and stay close. So here's Jake, and Jake's also, you're into the inverted W, and this is talked about a lot online. They believe this is what causes most arm or UCL and rotator cuff tears. So you really need to address this issue. Don't throw your elbows up. This really tells me when I see guys throw their elbows up, it's because they're not moving fast enough. So when you're not moving forward, you're trying to throw your elbows up or scap load in a way to keep closed and as your forward momentum is going forward. But just be aware of that. This is really dangerous. Even to here, look how you're just completely torqued behind your back. This could lead to an arm injury if you're not careful. So watch the Japanese pitcher. Look as he's driving, how his elbows stay below his shoulders. Okay, just avoid this because this is what ended Mark Pryor's career. Strasburg had a bit of it. Kerry Woods had a lot of it. I think he's had on maybe 3 rotator cuff surgeries. So really be careful with this inverted W. All right, so we got to work with you to stay closed so we don't put the twist and the torque on the ankle so we can get good triple extension, which you're not really getting here. And notice when your front foot lands and when your hips come through here, look where your arm is. So when his front foot lands, his hips come through there, look where his arm is. So this is optimal hip to shoulder separation. And the National Pitching Association proved that 80% of velocity comes from your ability to how much you can separate your shoulders from hips at front foot strike. So just based off of that, knowing that this Japanese pitcher is way more closed off than you, so therefore has the potential to generate a lot more velocity. Now this guy here is a 95. He's a 90 to 97 guy, and he's really, really little. It's amazing how little he is. And then look, once you get that kind of separation, then your shoulders are going to launch because now that power is moving up your body through that torque. It's going to create that great external rotation, that early internal rotation. If your front leg stays stable, everything's going to launch into that ball. Now with you, because you didn't get, once your hips got through, you had poor separation, you're going to get average external rotation, late internal rotation. You can see the elbow getting way out in front of the face, and the trunk is pretty upright, and you're kind of sunk behind your drive leg. So, I think with we need to fix your inverted W, and we need to teach you better how to stride and build power. I think you hit a really good stride length, but it's more of a fall into that stride length. And I believe once you learn how to launch yourself and drive, I think it's gonna take away that inverted W as well. And ultimately, you're going to be able to generate more hip to shoulder separation than this right here. Well, this is where you want to get. Ultimate goal. You want your shoulders closed when your hips are open, just like that. So hopefully we can get you here one day. But this takes an approach like in the 3x Pitching Velocity program. It takes a strength conditioning program for you to move this explosively and convert that. Be able to the core strength to be able to convert to torque. And then it's also going to take the muscle memory. I have some great drills in the 3x Pitching Velocity program, that part of the throwing program, that those drills really work around these mechanics. So they really help you understand and get better hip to shoulder separation. But actually, I think your coach, who I talked to, Kevin, has the program, and he said he's starting you on the program, so that's exciting to hear. And I'd like to hear about your progress to keep me up to date. And then just work on the things. Tell him y'all really need to work on that inverted W, and you need to, I don't even know why they call it the inverted W. I would just call it the M, right? And work on staying close to your stride. Just use this good example here of the Japanese pitcher. All right, man, so I wish you the best.